Hello, everyone. My name is Jackie, and I am the librarian here at the Iron River Public Library, and we are here for some story time today. So let's start with our opening song. Old crows come to help us sing again. Goes like this. Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, one you haven't said. Tell me about the birds and the bees, how to make a chicken sneeze. Chew. Tell me a story. And then, well, thank you all for singing along. Those that did, and welcome. We are here today to talk about a couple of things. But first, I want to ask you a question. What is it that I have on my shoulders? Yeah, it's kind of a sweater, isn't it? Yeah, what about this? Yeah, that's a sock, isn't it? And what's this? It's a hat. Yeah, what are all these things? Yeah, they're pieces of clothing, aren't they? Yeah, and we wear them on our person, and especially to keep us warm in cold weather like it is today. Well, there is a person that makes clothes. And they have to be made somewhere or other. And one of the people that makes clothes is called a tailor. Now, the tailor in our story is very, very sad, but he is also very smart, or in this case, clever. And let's see what he does to overcome sadness. It's called The Clever Tailor by Srividhya, Venkat. Hoberman was a talented tailor. Everyone loved the clothes he made. That's a perfect fitting sherwani. That's a men's suit for weddings. Of course, Hoberman made it. Isn't this Linghana Choli gorgeous? That's kind of a fancy wedding dress. Hoberman has magic in his fingers. They all said praise for his work. Though he was showered with compliments and requests, Hoberman was unhappy. Look at him, he's so sad. All his life, he had stitched clothes for thousands of people, but not one for his own family. There's his wife and his daughter and his son. Hard as he tried, he never had enough savings to buy the best cloth available and stitch something special for them. One day, Hoberman had a wedding to attend. A safa was a must-wear for men at weddings. See, putting on a safa, it's kind of a headgear. All he had was an old faded safa. Left without a choice, he went to the wedding wearing it. What color is it? Kind of a pink. Probably faded. Look at it, even has patches on it. It's well worn. At the wedding, Hoberman was welcomed with a gift, a brand new safa. Look at that pretty gold fabric, and look at that long trail. Look at all that nice fabric. Hoberman grew so fond of his new safa that he wore it wherever he went, taking the snooze out outside, chatting with friends at the chai trailer, walking to and from home, or even biking, heading to his tailor shop or to the fabric shop while he's stitching, and even wears it when on a picnic with his family. But when Hoberman examined the safa carefully, he found that there was plenty of fine cloth left to make it into something useful for his wife. He began to work on it right away. When it was ready, he surprised his wife with an adani. Look at that. It is a head covering for her hair. And again, very long trail behind, isn't it? Yes, I think she likes it a lot. Look at her. She's so excited. Ruparam's wife was so delighted to have a new Ohani that she wore it wherever she went. She wore her Ohani when she was making supper, when she was chatting with friends, when she was teaching school, and when she was helping her husband at the tailor shop. In fact, she used her Adhani so much that it finally wore out. But when Ruparam examined the Adhani carefully, he found that there was still some fine cloth left to make it into something useful for his son. He began to work on it right away. When it was ready, he surprised his son with a kurta. That is a long shirt, it comes down to his knees, and it buttons in the front. I think he likes it. Ruparam's son was so happy to have a new kurta that he wore it wherever he went. When he was napping outside, when he's biking, when he's heading home from soccer practice, when he's biking on his way to help his dad at the tailor shop, going to school, or meeting friends at the ice cream shop. He wore it all the time. In fact, he used the kurta so much that he finally wore it out. But when Ruparam examined the kurta carefully, he found that there was still enough fine cloth left to make it into something useful for his daughter. He began to work on it right away. When it was ready, he surprised his daughter with a gudiya. Look, that's a doll. There it is. Now, Ruparam's daughter was so excited to have a gudiya that she took it wherever she went. She took it when she was out playing. There's a doll. And then when she was inside playing, and when she was chasing the butterfly, and when she was sleeping, and when she was helping her dad at the tailor shop. In fact, she played with the gudaya so much that it finally wore out. When Ruparam found the gudaya and examined it carefully, he saw that there was still a bit of fine cloth left to make it into something useful for his family. He began to work on it right away. When it was ready, he surprised his family with a gulab. Look at a little cloth flower right in the palm of his hand. Look at all the petals. Oh, so many petals on that flower, isn't it? Ruparam's family was so proud of that special gulab made from their favorite cloth that they displayed it in different rooms in the house. They put it in the kitchen and in the bedroom, on the tea tray, on the picture frame shelf, and in the windowsill, and even at his sewing machine. In fact, they used the gulab so much that it finally wore out. But when Ruparam examined the gulab carefully, he found that there was still a tiny bit of fine cloth, left to make it into something useful for everyone. But unlike before, he neither had to cut it nor stitch it because it was ready. He surprised everyone with a kani, a story of how he had transformed his safa into an adhani, into a kurta, into a gudaya, and finally into a gulab. Ruparam proudly told his kahani wherever he went and to everyone he met. The best thing was that unlike the other things he had created, his kani never wore out. He's telling all his friends a story of how he had made the fabric into so many different things. And that is the end of The Clever Tailor by Srividhya Kanvat. Oh, right. Well, there was all kinds of pieces of clothing in there. There was scarves wearing on their heads, down their back, and wrapped around their heads, and shirts, and a doll, and flowers. Oh, there were so many pieces of clothing, weren't there? Yes. And you know what? One of the things that we wore on our head was the safa. And for us, we have things on our head too, like this. What do I have on my head? I have a hat. Let's see what color my hat is. It is red and yellow and green, blue and purple. Yeah, I got a big tall hat, isn't it there? Oh, look at that tall hat. Well, I have a song to go with my hat. It goes to the tune of This Old Man. It goes like this. On my hair, I wear my hat. It is such a silly hat that my head will wiggle to and fro, wiggle and waggle to and fro. Where else can my silly hat go? Where else would you put a hat, maybe? Would it be on a shoulder? Sure, why not? On my shoulder, I wear my hat. It is such a silly hat that when my shoulder wiggles and waggles to and fro, where else can my silly hat go? What about this? That's my elbow, isn't it? How about on my elbow? On my elbow, I wear my hat. It is such a silly hat that my head will wiggle and waggle to and fro. Not my head, my elbow will wiggle and waggle to and fro. Where else can my silly hat go? How about on my knee? Let's see if I can get my knee up high enough so you can see it. There's the top of the hat. All right. It is on my knee. I wear my hat. It is such a silly hat that my knee will wiggle and waggle to and fro. Where else can my silly hat go? Well, while you're thinking of some new things, I have another thing I want to mention to you. Now, like this hat, it is not a new hat, is it? It's been around the library for a while now. If you want to come in and see it, you can see it as well. And I have some other pieces of clothing here, like this one. Not only do I have an old hat, I have an old sock. I have an old glove. I have an old hat. And I have an old sweatshirt. Now, one thing about being old, they're all broken in, they're not stiff, they're not uncomfortable, and it makes the clothes feel so much better. And that's why sometimes people love to wear old clothes, like the title of her book, I Like Old Clothes, by Mary Ann Hoberman. I like old clothes, hand-me-down clothes, worn, outgrown clothes, not my own clothes. Look at, she's got a shirt with a heart on it. There's a sock, and there's a pretty dress, and a pair of pants. When somebody grows and gives me her clothes, I don't say, what, those? I don't turn up my nose the way some people do when their clothes aren't new. She's handing her a pair of her shirt because it's too small for her. Maybe it'll fit her character. I like old clothes. I really do. Look at, there's a band, jacket, and hat. And look at, she's got some overalls. And look at those black gloves. Ooh, those look pretty snazzy. Clothes with a history. Clothes with a mystery. Sweaters and shirts that are brother and sisterly. This one says Henry. This one says Josie. It looks like the same shirt, doesn't it? Just different sizes. Clothes that belong to a friend of a friend who wore them to school when she lived in East Bend. You lived in East Bend once, blue sweater, I say. Just think if you are living in my town today. There she's got that same sweater on with a little gold badge. I like old clothes, everyday clothes. Once for good clothes, now for play clothes. See, she's all dressed up with her fancy shoes and her purse. And now those are all worn out and they got a patch on the knee, and she's got her sneakers and playing outside with a rock on hopscotch. When I wear them, then I say clothes. I wonder more before you were mine. Was she light-haired or dark-haired? 7 or 9? Did you make her look awful or make her look fine? It's hard to tell who looked well in a yellow dress, who would look a mess in a red striped hat. Was she thin or fat? Did she have a hat? I ask them that. I like to wonder what they've done, what games they've played, and if they won. And for parties turned out fun. Someone's playing with a piñata at a party. You take your stick and you hit the piñata until all the candy flies out. And look, she's wearing her dress at the tea party. And her brother's stealing a cookie. I like old clothes, faded out clothes, not so new clothes. Where were you clothes? And each time I wear them, I try to imagine the places they've been and the faces they've seen, and whose clothes they'll be when they're finished with me. That is the end of I Like Old Clothes by Mary Ann Hoberman. Well, as I pointed out before, we have a set of old clothes with us. We have an old sweatshirt, and we have a hat, we have a glove, and again, a sock. And you know, each one of these things is going to appear in our song called The Clothes Pokey. And if you're familiar with the Hokey Pokey, it's going to go like that. But instead of putting body parts in, we're going to put clothing in. It goes like this. You put your sock in, you put your sock out, you put your sock in, and you shake it all about. You do the clothing pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. What should we do next? Let's do our sweatshirt. You put your sweatshirt in, you put your sweatshirt out, you put your sweatshirt in, and you shake it all about. You do the clothing pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your glove in, you put your glove out, you put your glove in, and you shake it all about. You do the clothing pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your hat in, you put your hat out, you put your hat in, and you shake it all about. You do the clothing pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. And you can do all kinds of other pieces of sweaters in and pants, whatever you have on. If you have leggings on, you can do that too. But one other thing we have here, we have a hat that's kind of a dark black hat. And our sock is red and green. And the sweatshirt is navy blue. And of course, the glove is red. All kinds of pretty colors and textures. And you know, that's what kind of makes clothes fun, because you get to try all kinds of different things. And you find out what you love to wear, like this young lady did in Clothes I Love to Wear by Cheryl, Willis, Hudson, and illustrated by Laura Friedman. There are lots of clothes I love to wear, and I try them on with special care. Elegant plumes and feathers, boots for rainy days, rainy weather. Look at that. She's got some pretty yellow boots on. And she has a long boa that's feathery. Pretty fancy, isn't it? A popcorn knitted wrap, some ancient looking spats. See the spats? They cover the tops of your shoes and cover your ankles. And that she's going to put over her head. It's kind of an orange color, isn't it? Yeah. A warm scarf with fringes, some wacky shades with hinges, my goofy plastic ring, a grand and glittering thing. She's got on a green scarf, and her glasses are red and the hinges are gold. Look at that big sparkly ring, kind of in the shape of a diamond. Yeah. A fluffy, tattered fur, shiny cowboy spurs, Daddy's scruffy slippers, Freddie's frogman's flippers. There are those flippers, there are the spurs, and Dad's slippers. All kinds of different things she likes to wear. Last winter's green pajamas, PJs with little kittens. Look at all the little black kittens on her jammies. A red jogging suit, dusty Western boots. Look at that. She puts all kinds of things on and together, doesn't she? A well-used catcher's mitt, still a perfect fit. Mommy's Halloween mask. Boom! What a gas. My favorite old sweater always makes me feel better. Swimsuit from last summer, faded blue jeans to bum in. A magician's hat, just picture that. A fancy dress, my Sunday best. Whether old things or new things, look at, she's got some purple earmuffs on. Whether borrowed or blue things, look at that long dress with pearls. There are lots of clothes I love to wear. I choose them all with special care. You'll find them piled up over there. The end of clothes I love to wear. Well, that is our final story for the day. I hope you get to put on all kinds of fun, warm and comfy clothes today to be outside playing or going down the street, whatever works for you. So let's do our closing rhyme. And it goes to the tune if you're happy and you know it. Story time is over, clap your hands. Story time is over, clap your hands. Story time is done. I hope you had some fun. Story time is over, clap your hands. Story time is over, stomp your feet. Story time is over, stomp your feet. Story time is done. I hope you had some fun. Story time is over, stomp your feet. Story time is over. Shout hooray, hooray. Story time is over, shout hooray, hooray. Story time is done. I hope you had some fun. Story time is over, shout hooray, hooray. Story time is over, do all three. Hooray. Story time is over, do all three. Hooray. Story time is done. I hope you had some fun. Story time is over, do all three. Hooray. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye.